Hello everybody, I'm Rick Janzen. Welcome to my fly bench. Today I would like to introduce you to the princess nymph, a fly I've been having a lot of success with recently during mayfly hatches. Now, like all nobility, this fly is a little bit full of itself, catching more than its fair share of trout when it's not really an imitation. It kind of falls somewhere between an attractor and an imitation. You'll see what I mean when you look at the fly. So let's take a look at the materials you're going to need to dress this fly. Into my vise I have a number 10 Togen's scud hook, and to that I've attached a 7/64 brass bead. And this is not a difficult fly to tie, but there are a couple of things in terms of proportions you have to pay attention to get the proportions right. I'm adding to that some 70 denier light olive tying thread. Bring it in here behind the bead, and we'll just get that set up. We'll go ahead and bring that in there. Now you could weight this fly further with using tungsten beads in the gold color and even a little bit of lead wire back there if you wanted to fish this in river systems. I fish it mainly in still waters where I've had the greatest success with it. So I'm going to bring that thread back to about equal with the point of the hook. And then I bring in some natural pheasant tail for the tail. And I just want, 3 or 4 fibers, just like a mayfly nymph. I don't want too many. 5 would be okay, 6 is getting a bit much. But I select a number of fibers that I want off the shank of the feather, cut them off, get them aligned with their tips, make sure I've aligned their tips properly, and lay them down. And now I want a tail that's fairly long. It's about the same length as the shank of the hook. So I'm going to bring that in there. You want it fairly long in there. And I'm going to cinch that down midpoint of the hook, and then just bring my thread back, securing those pheasant tail fibers down to about equal with the barb there. Of course, you can pinch the barb later if you wish, or it's required. And so we've got our tail set in there, fairly long, as you can see, and it'll do the job at balancing the fly down there with the tail. Now, a little bit of dubbing here. I'm using Great Canadian Dubbing Diamond Dub in holographic chartreuse. Okay, so that's the body or the abdomen of the fly. So I'm going to lengthen my thread there and then form a dubbing noodle with this dubbing. Just a little pinch here. It's not a big fly, and I just want to get the dubbing tapered, a nice little tapered body here. And we're going to get that noodle formed, and as I do so, I will then begin the wrapping of the hook with the noodle. Again, it doesn't have to be, it's not a difficult fly. There's no wire on here for weighting or no segmentation, which is why I say it's not like mayflies. Often nymphs have that segmentation to their abdomen. This doesn't have that. And yet, despite that, I've had terrific success with it during mayfly hatches. Fished on a clear intermediate sink line and cast over the the suspect shoal that you're fishing, and a slow hand twist retrieve, just working that up through the water column. So it's kind of ascending through the column at an angle like that, and fish just love it. We just actually get hammering fish on this little pattern. Now the other proportional thing I come in with here again is pheasant tail for the shell back and the front legs. And this time I want a few more fibers. I'd like about 10 or 12. And I want to, again, bring that in. Now this is where I measure carefully to make sure that I get the length I want for the legs when they get swept back. I want them shorter than the tail, obviously. So I want to measure them here so that they're somewhat shorter than tail. Now realize they are going to get a little shorter still because they'll be doubled over, folded over the back, the shell back of the thorax region of the fly. So I'm going to bring them to here knowing that they will shorten even further. Okay, and we'll get those tied in just above the dubbing. Now notice I left a gap there. Give that another wrap or two here. I left a gap there behind the bead. This is where we're going to come in with our peacock curl. So I'm going back, working my way back toward the dubbing. I want to get that thoroughly in there. And then we come in with a nice kind of bushy green peacock curl. And just get a strand of that out. Small flight like this, one hurl fiber will do. If you're going to tie it bigger, you might go with two fibers. But I just like to select for bushy on this one. So you can see there I've got a nice bushy full, and I tie it in by the butt end there. And I'm going to pinch loop that in there and bring it back to the dubbing and then forward. And we'll cut the tag end of that off. And then we'll fill in this thorax region of the fly with the peacock curl. Really fill it in. It darkens up that whole thorax region. And I like to bring it back again to the dubbing and then forward. And now we'll just give that a couple of small wraps here and secure that just behind the bead. Now I'm going to bring my pheasant tail forward as a shell back, and we'll secure that here with 1 or 2 wraps, just like that. I've got some errant dubbing fibers there. I'm just going to clean up a little bit. Some very, very, very long ones. Of course I could clean them up later. Now I've got a shell back formed on there. Now that I've got it formed, I want to separate these tips for legs and bring them to both sides. So taking my time, I would just kind of pinch and pull, separating those, trying to get them as even as possible. Looks like I'd like a little more on the far side, the camera side, so I'm going to pull another one of those over. Pull them back and down. There we go. Starting to look like what I want in terms of the division. And then I pull them back and down a couple of more wraps just to see that they're getting secured in place there as a set of legs. And there we go. We've got our princess nymph basically tied here. And so I'm going to give that a few drops of Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails. Just like to do that above the hook and let the liquid sort of trickle down the thread into the wraps there. We give that a couple of turns and then whip finish to complete the fly. 2, 3, 4. I like this light olive thread as it blends in with the body. This is a dandy little pattern, and again it's not really an imitation of the mayfly, although that's when I primarily have my best luck with it. There you go, you've got your tail, 2-colored abdomen thorax region with the bead head, brings the fly down. Like I said, you could fish it on a clear intermediate sink tip, or a floating line with a 12 to 15 foot leader and tippet combination on there, and a very slow hand twist retrieve as you ascend that fly through the water. You're going to get some nice takes, solid takes. They're not hard, but they're solid and they're really good hookups. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel, and feel free to share this with your friends who may be interested in this pattern. I'm wishing you the best of the season out there. Thank you for watching, and good luck. Bye for now.